Welcome back to Squire Time. I'm Hanson.
I'm Caden.
And I'm John.
And today we're talking about our odd hobbies and the fact that we've kind of bounced around hobbies over our lives.
Hanson, I think we ought to start with you.
Since I talked first, I mean,
Let me preface this really quick with
face it.
let me put a face before we start on this.
Can we call it a preface?
Yeah, we can call it, but it's pronounced a preface. So
No, it's not. It's preface.
Okay.
So let me preface this with, we thought this would be a great way for you guys to get to know the hosts of Squire Time a little bit better.
Yeah.
The Squires themselves.
Ourselves, us. The ones talking right now.
Speaking of Squires and why we're called that, John, why did we pick this name?
Okay.
You explained it to us. So
Okay. So like, if you're watching a YouTube gaming channel or something like that, they're gonna have this super awesome like gamer tag name or whatever that they put on their YouTube channel, right?
Yep.
So it's like kind of signifies that they're the best.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are very much not about that life. Oh my God.
Please don't
I'm
do
catching it.
It's spreading. He put his foot on my foot.
My foot touched his foot,
It's contagious.
and I'm getting it.
I also
getting what?
The out.
He's got the gayness. Next thing you know, he's gonna wear off-pink shirts.
All right. Anyways, about the channel. So, or our podcast. Is it a channel? Is this a channel? Squire Time is a channel. Squire Time.
Originally,
Squire Time
It's a group.
Squire Time is a lifestyle.
let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to when did you make this thing originally?
Squire Time?
Yeah.
I want to say this was when we were juniors in high school.
I'm gonna pull it up
Juniors
on my
in high
laptop
school?
right now.
Yeah.
All right, he's gonna pull it up.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump back to that year.
We started a YouTube channel.
We were at a cancer fundraiser.
Yeah, we were.
And-
This is you can't make this shit up.
No.
Me and John were in ROTC.
Junior
Junior
ROTC.
ROTC.
And I was an effer who skipped school and so I had to make up time.
Oh yeah,
That is what you were
that's
doing.
why.
Yeah.
So we were all there working this cancer fundraiser. We like set up bags with candles, and it's Relay for Life. I don't know if that's like a national thing or if that's a local thing.
I'm pretty sure it is.
It is? Okay.
I think it's
so if you've ever been to a Relay for Life, we were there working it, like serving and putting out bags, like I said. And me and John were working with the JROTC, and Caden was there because he had to make up time. What year was it?
It just says
4
4
years ago was the first upload, so that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Kind of feels... That feels...
It feels
I
like
thought
it
it
was
was
further.
longer.
Yeah, it feels.
Wait.
It's like 6
There's
years
no
ago.
way. Because
Yeah,
I got home
2015.
from my mission
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Wait.
And then there's 2 years after that. We didn't do that right
I
before
would
I
have
left
been
on
in
my
your
mission.
check at that time.
Right. I think it rounds down. I think it's actually 5 years.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's
So it'll be
rounded
probably
down.
5 years in like the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So that was 2016?
2015.
2015.
Yeah, later in the year.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
when we graduated. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yep.
it was when we were seniors.
Yeah.
So it was 2015 when this Relay for Life thing was. Me and Caden were seniors. John was a junior. And while we're working, we kind of got bored with it, I guess.
No, we had our lunch break.
Oh,
They
yeah?
gave us a lunch
Is that
break.
what it was?
Yeah.
Because we were
Yeah.
gone for like...
Well, no. Listen, you have to. Okay, let's go back in
Filmed the
time again.
whole
Jesus
movie.
Christ!
Stop!
Why are y'all touching feet?
All
It's
right.
so this table's 2 inches wide.
I didn't tell you to sit under it.
All right. Let's go back in time.
Okay.
So the Relay for Life event that we always did, like this is
Yeah.
a yearly thing that we did. We would get there at roughly 7-8 o'clock in the morning,
Oh, it was early.
and we would stay until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like, it was volunteering, but at the same time, you have to take a break.
Yeah.
So we were taking a break, is what we were doing. And we were like, well, what are we going to do? And in between playing lacrosse and crap.
Oh, yeah.
Kane was like, we could go shoot a video at my house. And like, I was kind of like, what? And Hanson was just like, yeah, let's do it. So we all went to Caden's house.
Drug Casey along.
Yeah,
too.
Casey was there too.
Yeah.
Casey's girlfriend got pissed at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You took him?
Yeah. Yeah. So we got to Caden's house, and we were like, "What are we gonna record? Like, what are we gonna call this thing? What are we doing?"
Yeah.
And so, like, out of nowhere, we started like brainstorming, and in a process that took roughly 5 minutes, we came up with Bro Squire time.
Yeah.
And then we were like, you know what? Let's just.
Casey came up with Bro Squire.
That was it. Was Bro Squire time, and then we were like, let's just cut the bro part.
What's the adults about this?
Yeah, he was like, let's just call it Squire time. And then 5 years later, fast forward to now, we're like, you know what? We should start a podcast because the conversations we have. We said it in the last episode. Yep. The conversations we have are hilarious, and if we recorded them, it would just be a great hobby. It'd be fun. And we were like, what are we going to call it? And I was like, we could just use the YouTube channel that we made before and just call it Squire Time. Mm-hmm. And then we were talking about the meaning, significance, like what significance does it have or whatever, because that's not something high schoolers think about. Not at all. Not at all. So I was just like, well, I mean, it's kind of like we're the little fish. Mm-hmm. We're not the guys that claim to be the best at anything. We're the little guy trying to rep the little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have cheap equipment. We're not the knights in shining armor.
We are not.
We
are not the top of the
totem pole. We're the squires that carry the shield to the knight.
Yeah.
Barely above the commoner.
Right.
Yeah.
We're the little guy that does all of the hard work for the knight who gets all the glamour.
Mm-hmm. So who is our knight in the podcast?
Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Trademark. I wouldn't say we have a knight per se. I think the idea of being a successful podcast would be the knight that we are supporting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's other knights in shining armor out there that people could be listening to, but they're listening to us instead. Yeah. Because they're peasants.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And so like we're squires and we're pretty low on the totem pole. Yeah. But being the squire under the knight, we feel a lot better about ourselves. We have a high self-esteem, so we like to put other people down.
And one day, we will call this nighttime.
And it will be time to lay our dreams to rest.
We will be nothing but a midnight podcast.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so good.
So, like, right now, we're the squire, and the people that we try to put underneath us are our viewers.
Yeah.
In that sense, you all listening here are peasants.
Jeez. Bless it.
But one day, if you allow us to become successful, you too will be squires.
But at that point, we will be above you.
Again, still, yes.
Yeah.
You'll never reach where we are.
Look,
and if you go behind our back and try to start your own podcast, we'll find you and we'll freaking cut your throat.
Trademark. All right, we're gonna have to blip out the murderers. It's gonna sound like we're gonna find you. We're gonna beep.
We're 5 minutes in.
Yeah. That's so good. I like that.
Yeah.
Beep and beep beep beep. beep
flatline. Yeah, flatline.
Totally
oh
good.
man.
Yeah, but that's why we are called what we are.
Yeah.
This is Squire time, and this is about to be lit.
We're gonna fire it up.
This is it.
Yeah.
It'll like ignite it.
Yeah. So when you introduced this, you said we were going to talk about what?
Hobbies that we all have.
Yeah.
Even if they're and the fact that we all kind of rapidly change our hobbies. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start with current. Like what you're currently into. John, what's your current hobby?
I'm just currently into so many things.
What's your big one? What's the one that like you look forward to the most? Like you have a day off.
I'm just kidding.
What's like your current YouTube search? Is it like string theory or woodworking or?
I would say my current YouTube search has a lot to do with D&D.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. But let's put a block on that.
Yeah, let's put a block on that.
Let's not talk about your.
Because that can of worms is deep.
Yeah, it's a deep can of worms, and that's not what we're here for today.
So what's the next?
The next thing, I'd say, like currently, the thing that I do like as a hobby more than anything else would be bonsai trees.
That is sweet.
Yeah.
Trees?
Bonsai trees.
Huh? You have a lot of trees?
I mean, okay, so I did have a lot of trees, and then I murdered all of them to let one flourish.
You put them in an arena.
Yes.
The winner stays.
Yeah, it was kind of like a game of statistics. It was like, let me put them all here. Let's see which one grows the fastest, and he will be the victor, and the rest of them will die. Yeah. Phenomenal. Bonsai trees, the hobby of being spiritually calm, involves a lot of violence.
ending of life.
That's how it works. That's how it gives you the calm.
I like that.
The peacefulness.
So beautiful.
It's just murder.
It's like a punching bag, you know. You got to let out your aggression.
Yeah, but it's with like a really sharp set of like shears.
And it's
that you just.
Yeah, and the bonsai tree is helpless.
Yeah.
So how long have you been into bonsai trees?
Not very long, I'd have to say. But I mean, I've been trying to get into. What are you looking at?
That was a hard spike.
That
That was
was-
not.
Yeah.
Not really long.
Oh, that
at all.
was a huge spike for that.
I'm sorry.
I've not been into it for very long, like physically.
Yeah.
I will say that I did a lot of research before I actually got into it.
That's smart. I tried to get into it
Yeah.
a few years ago, and
I
it
remember.
died
I remember.
immediately.
So I can tell you why.
Why did my tree die?
You, if I remember correctly, you got a bonsai tree from Walmart, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you how
Probably
they
my
do
first
it.
mistake.
This is what they do. Because Walmart is a mass retailer, they like to sell things in bulk. And so the only way they can do that is to outsource it. So you get these people, and it's usually in a different country, where they will mass, like, sow the seeds and grow them into little bonsais, put them in a crate, put them in a ship where there's no sunlight, ship it across the sea that takes weeks, and then it gets to you and it's already dying.
Wow.
So that's why it probably died on you, because it was already dying.
So it's not my fault.
It's not your fault.
Wow.
I'm
might
great.
be a green thumb. Deep
I
down.
am.
But you got gypped.
Yeah.
You got gypped by the
Thanks a lot,
system.
Walmart.
Yeah.
RTM.
RTM.
Yeah.
I guess how many trees? You said just one tree right now?
Okay, so I do currently have one tree.
Okay.
Yes. And it is barely past a seed. It's kind of in the transition phase. He's entering adolescence.
So he's talking back a lot.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't like his bed.
Yeah, very disrespectful.
What kind of tree is it?
It is a flame tree.
A flame tree.
Yeah. If you give me a moment, I can actually look up the genus.
You know, if you try hard enough, you can make any tree a flame tree.
It's true, but it's usually easier if you kill them first.
Not if you ask Australia.
Yeah. That's wow. Wow.
Oh man.
That
Hey,
hit it home.
No, okay, we're getting all tangent.
We're getting
right
on
quick.
a tangent.
Yeah, that's true. Tangents are great. When the Australia fire thing started, everybody was like, "Oh, environmental issues." People were arrested because they were going out starting fires. That's why the fires started.
Are you serious?
Yeah. People were charged with arson
Good
in
grief.
Australia. I think it was a bunch of firefighters going out and starting fires.
What? Firefighters?
That's a
starting
very
fires?
common thing.
Wow.
Firefighters being like, was it pyromaniac? That's the term.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, because they love their job so much, but sometimes in a lot of jurisdictions, like I guess firefighters call it a jurisdiction. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't get any action, so they'll go and start a fire
Shoot.
so they can put it out. That happens a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty messed up.
That is.
Yeah.
That's like murdering someone. I need a
Like a
case.
detective is
Yeah.
like, I need a case.
I need a
Bang! Who killed this man?
You did it.
Puts cuffs on himself. God, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Leaves little clues for himself. Man, this is one handsome man.
So
Alright.
what's you researching?
I was looking up the genus name of it.
Was it what? Can you?
I'm going to speak in Latin. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
Delonix. Delonix. I know I mispronounced it, so if you wanted to rip me a new one, go for it. Regia.
Regia.
Yeah, Regia.
So Delonix regia.
Yeah. Flame tree.
Flame tree.
Flame on!
Is it like a Japanese? Are all bonsai trees Japanese trees?
Oh, let me educate you.
That's a
young
myth.
sir.
That's a myth. I think.
That is a myth.
Okay.
The art of bonsai. Bonsai in itself is a verb.
Okay.
Is Japanese by origin, and it's the art of dwarfing a tree.
Wow.
So a bonsai tree is a regular tree. Like if you let it grow, it will become a full-size tree.
Yeah.
Oh.
The art of bonsai is to make it to where it does not do that.
Wow.
You control its growth.
Can you do it to any tree, or are there just specific trees that are better?
You can do it to any tree as
Really?
long as it is acclimated to the climate.
Wow.
So I could go find an acorn and make
In theory, yeah.
no.
So what is what does that process entail? Or better yet, how would a beginner like me start
So
into bonsai?
starting into bonsai, I would say getting a starter kit would be the best thing, and it gives you seeds, soil, discs.
GMOs to keep it dwarf?
No, stop. That's enough of that. No, you get soil discs, which you put into water and it expands into regular soil. You squeeze the water out, and then they give you these. Some companies will give you like a little planter. Maybe it's just like a little plastic thing or whatever that you put it in, and then you know, depending on what seed you order, you get the seed and you plant the seed, and it takes X amount of days for it to germinate. Now, the actually getting it to be dwarfed is you just have to cut it.
How often?
Oh, just
Branches. Yeah.
Just keep trimming it.
Well, okay, so if you're growing from a seed, you have to wait a while for that to happen. I would say, for me, I plan on waiting like a year.
Wow.
Because
how big is that thing going to be in a year?
Probably 8 to 12 inches tall.
Okay. It looks really tall in the picture you showed me.
It is probably, with the dirt, just above dirt, it's probably only like 4 inches tall.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so it's got a good walk. Because it's been, you've had it for how long?
It's been...
It's sprouted for how long?
2.5 months.
2.5 months, okay. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you want to get into bonsai trees?
It sounds fascinating.
It's so little effort required to do it as well.
And I love the idea that it's not a type. There is no such thing as like a bonsai tree. It's like bonsai is something that you do to a tree.
Yeah.
Bonsai a tree.
It's an art.
It's an art.
It is an art.
I like that. Yeah. And the fact that it takes a commitment and an extended commitment.
And you're taking care of this living thing as well. So there's
first,
like
just a lesson in patience.
It is.
Yeah,
much so.
totally.
Patience and care.
Like extended reward.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised you like art.
And if just pause button for anyone out there who's like, if you're patient enough, you can grow one of these things and just let it keep growing, keep training it and everything, and one day it'll be worth a lot of money.
How much is a full grown?
Let's look up the age, like, because I'm pretty sure it's by age. So like,
Okay.
price of a 50-year-old.
Price of a 50-year-old tree.
Bonsai tree.
And so like you could pass it down to your.
It's one of those things that you can pass down.
But after 50 years, I think the trunk on it would be like your leg.
Well, it depends. It depends on how you grow it.
train it, I guess.
So like
Now, how do I prevent the trunk from becoming massive? Do I shave?
Well, it's not okay. So the amount. Okay, so by the way, just so you know, a 50-year-old bonsai tree right now, I'm looking at a price of one. It's $900 for 50 years.
Man, that's like 10 cents an hour.
Yeah.
Not even that.
Yeah, but like the
For
time
you to
that
do
you put
nothing
into
there?
it, like say you have like a little family of bonsai trees. Like it's an investment. You know, you buy a couple starter kits, and then you have like by the time you're 50, you have a dozen bonsai trees. You sell them. You said it's $900 each.
Yeah, for just the one.
Let's just say it's 1,000. You have like $12,000.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Lots of money.
Not much work.
But yeah, so like your question, trying to control it from like growing in circumference, that also has a lot to do with the amount of resources that you give it.
Oh really? So you starve it.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, like when you cut the branches, it's not going to have as much greenery to make sugar, and it needs sugar to grow. So it will. It puts itself in kind of like a survival mode.
I would really like, you cut a tree down and you can see the growth rings. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to cut a bonsai tree down because that's such a hard.
It's like a little hammer. I mean, a little axe. Like,
because it's such a work of labor. But it would be really cool to see the growth rings.
Yeah.
And how that owner, when it did starve it, because there's like a gap in the rings when it starves and things like that.
Interesting.
Or it'd be thinner.
Well, you don't ever starve it on water though.
Oh, okay.
Never. Or actual food. Huh?
What do you do to feed the tree?
So like the dirt itself has nutrients in the soil. So like, whenever it gets done eating all the nutrients in that soil, you just repot it in some new soil.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to start at the time, just let it stay in that soil.
Yeah.
That's depleted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But you don't want to do that, right?
Now at a certain age, it's probably best not to do that because then there's
like the Hiroshima tree. I'm sure they're not
right
repotting that.
Well, they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long does it depend on the pot? I guess
It depends on the age of the tree. Younger trees grow a lot faster and then therefore consume a lot more food.
Okay.
So now, I thought you have to trim the roots as well.
You're not supposed to do that until they're mature.
Wow.
Because there's a taproot, and if you cut it, it'll just die.
What's considered a mature?
Like, for the one that I'm growing, the flame tree, I'm pretty sure 18 years old.
18.
Yeah. Upon birth, some people do trim the root. That's just a joke. I'm kidding.
My root was trimmed.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, but no. But yeah, no. I would say for the one that I'm growing, probably a little over a year old is when you could be okay with trimming a little bit of the root.
Okay, it's not bad.
But it varies by species. But we're referring to it as an art, and Caden here. I know a little bit about you, Caden.
No, you don't. Yeah, no. I don't think I have anything too secret.
Yeah. I know a little bit about you, too secret, yeah. And Hanson knows a little bit about you. And we both know that you're a bit of an artist.
I am. That's why I am fascinated by this bonsai tree thing, because I see the art in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been an artist all my life.
I know since I met, because, mind if I tell them how I met you?
Yeah, go for it.
We were in high school, and we both have the friend Caleb Trankner.
Oh,
and,
here we go.
Caden
It's
is
probably
just...
best if we don't list people's first and last name to the general public. We could just bleep that out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we could just do first names.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
We had the mutual friend, mutual friend at the time of Caleb. And he told me one day, he was like, have you met that new kid that came in our school? And I was like, no, I haven't yet. What's his deal? And he was like, he is freaking hilarious. And I was like, really? What's he do? And he was like, well, we're at lunch. And he like drew a picture of a hot dog rubbing ketchup and mustard all over itself and like slapped it on the cafeteria window for the kids outside to look at. I was like, this guy sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
So then we got both put in Miss K's class.
Yeah.
In York. And I was sitting behind him and I was like, I think that's the guy. I was like, how do I say something?
Hey, weenie boy.
And I was like, yes.
You've heard of me. So I was like, tapped him and I was like, are you the guy who drew the hot dog rubbing ketchup and mustard? And he was like, yeah. So I think you actually drew it again for me too.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's so funny. You know what's funny is a guidance counselor, I don't remember his name, came up to me while we were doing that. He came up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder, and I was like, oh crap, and I like put the papers away and I turned around and he's like, what are you doing there?
Just got my wiener out.
And I was like, oh, I do this fun thing where I like drop pictures and show the people outside. And he's like, oh really? Let me see.
I'd rather not.
It's like, did you see the banana one?
I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. So I also drew one. It was like a banana hooker. Banana with hairy legs and like stockings and high heels, like smoking. And anyways, he opens up. I have a folder full of these pictures at lunch. He opens it up and he's like, oh wow. I'm not even kidding. He's like, look at that hot dog. He's so silly. That's what he said. And he's like, are you taking art classes? And I was like, no, not really. And he's like, oh man, I got to get you in an art class. What's your name? And he like wrote down my name or whatever. Didn't hear anything back from him. But it was so funny. Oh man.
That's funny.
So what kind of art are you doing now?
So you still sticking to Freudian phallic imagery?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Big word.
On my own time.
More of a hands-on guy now.
I actually, unfortunately, haven't been able to draw or do a lot of, like drawing or painting lately. But with my new YouTube channel and with my new job, I do a lot of digital art and like graphic user interface designs and stuff like that. But so it's boring stuff.
It's something we could cover in like a D&D podcast or episode. But you are really good at like making your own miniatures.
Yeah,
and you've actually made a few of them that are for sale on Etsy.
Yeah,
and trademark those always.
Yeah, RTM.
Yeah, for ourselves.
For Etsy.
Okay, good point. Good point.
Yeah. So I dabble in everything. I actually started a YouTube channel and a Instagram called Dabble in the Arts because I dabble. That's kind of my thing is I just do any type of art. I love all of it, and I have been blessed with the ability to pick up art like any medium pretty quickly.
Because you've got a lot of different like resources. I know you have that electronic tablet that you can draw on, and that's that's very beneficial.
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah, so I've been slowly cultivated to become a professional artist.
I would argue that you're probably already there.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. For any of you, do you want to shout out?
Sure. I love shout
For
outs.
anybody listening to Squire Time, Caden here. Last name okay?
Yeah.
Caden Dawson, Dawson,
Uh-huh.
is an artist and he's on Instagram. You can find him there. Are you also on Facebook?
At Caden R. Dawson.
Caden R. Dawson.
Yeah.
On Instagram. And on Etsy, do you have a handle on that? You don't know it, do you?
No, I think I do, but I haven't touched it in years.
They can use Anthem 3D printing for his designs.
Yeah.
That's true. Anthem 3D printing. You know what? While we're on this subject, let's just go.
Also,
Yeah,
Caden, he does free commissions.
He'll
design anything you want.
What?
Free commissions. Anything you want free of charge.
Sure.
I will go back and go ahead and tell you that Caden's not going to do that.
No.
If you pay him,
Even if you pay me, it's not
it.
promised.
We get a flood of money we do nothing about.
Unfortunately, people will offer me money for something like a job. It'll be so little money that I will not get to the job. I'm like, I'm not okay. Here's an example. I was at a D&D group, and I printed this guy's miniature, and he's like, I want you to paint him for me. I'm like, okay, but that takes forever, dude. And I'm busy. He's like, okay, what if I pay you? And I was like, okay, sure. He slaps in front of me, not even kidding. He slaps in front of me $2 in quarters. And he was serious. And he wrote out on a slip of paper a huge list of details that he wanted painted on his miniature.
Jesus.
And he's like, I hope this is good.
I would just slide the quarters off the desk.
That was like 2 months ago, and I haven't even looked at his miniature. I'm not even kidding.
Now he's out of miniature.
Yeah.
And is not painted.
Well, the quarters have been sitting in my ashtray for since then.
You got the card and tucked them in.
Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's my little rant.
Yeah. But like I said, talking about 3D printing, Hanson here is an avid 3D printerist.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Printist.
Sure.
Because a 3D printer is the object, but you aren't necessarily
I like
3D
printerer. That's fine.
Oh, okay, printer.
Yeah.
Printered.
Printist?
Apprentice.
Ah.
You're a princess.
You're an apprentice.
I'm an apprentice. I like that.
Apprentice. 3D prentice.
Apprentice.
Yeah, so Hanson does a lot of 3D printing as I would assume you would consider that a hobby, right?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff goes into 3D printing? I know you have 2 printers, and I know nothing about it. So
2 printers. Yeah, one does plastic and one does resin.
What's the difference
between plastic and resin?
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about it and you look at it from a distance, it's detail. The resin can print, I think it's 50 microns, so it's kind of like the width of a hair in detail. But the plastic it's a little bit quicker on some stuff, but it can print bigger things. The resin's kind of restricted to about a cell phone size print bed. The main thing is detail.
Detail.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How much do you print?
How much do I print?
Yeah.
How much money do you print?
No.
I print out hard plastic.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your larceny rate here?
Larceny rate?
Yeah. Is that the right law? Am I thinking about printing money? Is that not larceny?
That would be making counterfeit currency.
Right.
That's a little bit more than
you
larceny.
let's be clear. You have printed fictional currency.
Yeah.
Yes, I've printed D&D
D&D
currency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's larceny.
Fun. That was cool.
No.
That's larceny.
Who am I stealing?
How would you like to go to prison?
You know, from what I've heard, I would love it.
Oh yeah.
That phase.
Could you print, in theory, a key to get out of prison?
Dang right.
You could usually give so many criminals so many
The hard
abilities.
thing is getting the 3D printer in there to the inmates.
In advance.
Oh, I see. So like, oh crap, they caught me. I'm going to prison. Print out a key real quick. That kind of thing.
No, like print it out and like
prison pocket.
Print it out beforehand, like preemptively. Like I know I'm gonna go to prison if I do this. Let me just go ahead and prepare for it.
Oh, do a bunch of research.
Yeah.
But how do I make sure I have that key with me?
How do you make sure?
When I go to jail.
Dude,
they're gonna search me.
If you like, this is actually a life hack. If you pull your bottom eyelid out, anything will fit in it.
Anything.
Your eye socket's much larger.
It's actually it's
It's a what?
It's a pocket dimension.
He just shoves stuff.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you how much like snacks I keep in mine.
He's pulling one out as we speak. Oh my god, how can you do that?
Man, I wonder what other holes you could hide stuff in, like the belly button.
Are you sure you're okay?
I don't know. I don't think you could have.
I feel like I'm learning a lot about you.
I think I could get like how many Skittles could you get in your belly button?
Skittles?
Yeah, I think I could get like 3 Skittles.
I'm like to come through really fit and I'd be happy it wouldn't fall out.
Yeah.
1. I think I could only
to
fit
be happy
1.
it wouldn't fall out. But
to really stuff in there and then if I stand up it'd fall out.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
How many Skittles could you get in your belly button?
18.
I'm sorry.
18?
It's not sealed.
I'm just kidding. You can see the food moving through here.
It's a terrarium.
You install a little glass.
Yeah.
Circle.
But yeah, I've been doing 3D printing for about 3 years.
3 years.
I've been here. I've had it since I've been at this apartment. So yeah, about 3 years or so.
Interesting. Would you say there's a learning curve?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. I messed up. When I first got the printer, I was so excited because I'd seen this. Way to make noise.
Look at that spike.
I'm sorry.
When I first, the printer I use is a Anycubic RTM, i3 Mega RTM. And it's a really good printer. It's good for someone starting out. There's not a lot of calibration you have to do. This is the plastic printer. If you get into it, don't start out with resin. Resin is it's more difficult than plastic. And if you know zero about the process, start with plastic. So when I got the Anycubic i3 Mega, I set it up in my kitchen. I printed a few things like to test, and it was working good. And I was like, sweet. I wanted to print the Baby Groot, like from like the Avengers. And there was a good file. Yeah. Big RTM. Please, Disney, don't sue a little tiny podcast. That'd be a really big dick move. Anyway, so I wanted to print that. So I remember I started it printing, and like it kept failing. And I didn't know what was going on, so I put it in again, the SD card, tried to get it set up again. And I went, and I remember, like, these prints, like, the Baby Groot, I think, took, like, 6 hours. So it can take a good while. That was just for the body. So I went and laid down on my couch, and I was going to sleep in my living room so I could, like, hear it. And if it messed anything up, I could wake up to it. So I'm, like, sitting there, and it's dark in my house. And I remember I, like, opened up my flashlight on my phone and looked at it. And I saw smoke coming out of the top of it. And I was like, I jumped up and I ran over, and it was just starting to smoke more and more. It's coming out of like the hot end, which is like the main block where everything gets melted and placed down on the bed. So I like just pulled the cable on my printer, and what had happened is there's like a nylon tube that goes down into the hot end where the actual plastic gets melted, and that had started to melt because it was overheating.
Nice.
And it was just smoking up a storm. So I was paranoid about that thing. Like every time I'd leave my house and leave it printing, I'd be like, "Don't catch my apartment on fire!" And I close the door.
Trusted it nonetheless.
So that was my first learning curve.
How likely are you to recommend that hobby to anyone?
Oh, 100%.
Oh.
I mean, it's a very fun hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, take precautions, especially with resin. Resin is toxic to your skin, so wear gloves. Some people say wear a mask. I don't do that.
Yeah, I don't wear a mask anymore.
Stay tuned on the next episode where
gloves,
Hanson figures out he has leukemia.
Yes. Go to my GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Caden also has a 3D printer.
Yeah,
he started out with resin.
Yeah, I was inspired by Hanson, and I got a resin printer. Yeah, I've been blessed with success. I haven't had a failure yet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You have the Elgu Mars though.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I've been impressed. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, crazy quality, really reliable, easy to use.
Yeah.
Stinky.
It's messy.
Yeah, messy.
Yeah. Messy and stinky.
That's why I put it in my dad's office so that he gets the cancer.
Jesus.
They say the fumes can hurt you.
I know that. I keep telling him like, I'll move this, like just, and he's like, no, it doesn't bother me. But you know why I figured it out is because he used to reload ammo. He'd go to like car mechanics and ask for their weights, and he'd melt down lead in our garage.
What?
Unventilated garage.
I see.
And it smelled so bad. I think his nose is just burnt out, and he doesn't even smell the resin anymore.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
I mean, I have a problem with smelling too. I rarely can smell the resin.
Yeah, I used to not be able to smell. Yeah, and then I had surgery. But I didn't have the surgery because I couldn't smell. I had the surgery because I couldn't breathe. And then just naturally I was able to smell better too.
22 years of no breathing.
Actually, it started when I broke my nose in California. So.
Oh, that sounds like a fun story.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in another episode.
Yeah.
Believe me, you. I'm going to ask you so many questions.
All right.
Awkward silence.
So that was a pretty good episode. So we're all kind of gonna. I think we're gonna make this a common thing throughout all the podcasts or episodes. I keep calling it a podcast.
I mean, it is a podcast.
Well, yeah, but
it's okay that you call it that.
Yes, but like.
Of the individual ones, yeah.
Like, thanks for tuning into my channel for a video.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Squire Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
That sounds good. So we're all gonna kind of say like one thing that we learned today. Something that kind of is going to stick with us for a little bit. So we're going to start with John Boy.
I learned nothing. I already knew all of this about you two. Just kidding.
Man, that's fun.
I'm just kidding. No, just kidding. No, I feel like the reason we made this episode was for the people who listen to this podcast, so they could get to know us better. And I feel like that action in itself is something that I would like to continue to do. Like, because I wouldn't consider myself kind of like an outspoken person. Like, I don't like to introduce myself to people or anything like that. I'm very much introverted, and so having these discussions with you guys is kind of like
forcing you out.
Yeah. Kind of like Caden in the last episode.
Yeah. Go back to the last episode where
You need to dispute that, because I said Caden's gay and you didn't say anything.
Well, it's true. Just kidding.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Just to clarify, I am the only one sitting here with a pink shirt, so I deserve it.
Wow.
But I am straight. I was once engaged to a woman and was prepared to do things with her and was very much anticipating it. And long story short, it didn't happen. But I am straight. That's
because you can't.
Yeah. It didn't work out because of sexual preferences.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
That I stand corrected. I learned something new.
I learned to steer clear from Kate.
Yeah, no. In all seriousness, I have learned something about myself, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. What'd you learn?
Wait, you learned something about yourself?
About myself, yeah. That, like, I am capable of talking to other people about the things I'm interested in. Stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I liked the topic of bonsai trees. But to dig a little deeper than that, I just am fascinated about learning about other people's hobbies. Because it's impossible for me to be fully invested into every hobby, you know? Mm. And so being able to talk to someone whose hobby is different from mine helps me get a glimpse of other people's point of view and interests, and helps me broaden my eyes and realizes that I'm not right all the time. And like, yeah.
There's more out there.
There's more out there than what I'm doing. Yeah.
I like that.
Who I'm doing.
There's something we should know.
And who's the? What's his name? I guess if I had to say something, I kind of like sitting here and talking to y'all about that, because it's just cool to see like how we all have like such different walks of life, but we all have our own little hobbies and how we get so invested in them. And yours has been lifelong with art.
Yeah.
You've had yours for a few months.
Yeah.
But the passion is like the same. I think that's something really cool. Because like, no matter what your hobby is, you can't develop passion.
Yeah.
Like, that's something you either have from the beginning or you don't.
Yeah.
I think it's just cool to kind of dig into that and see the different time frames. So
Absolutely. And I think in another episode, I think we should talk about kind of like our, not necessarily our hobbies, but our jobs and like life
absolutely.
in general, like what we do. Because we all come from different backgrounds.
very different. Yeah.
That's true.
Not the same in any respect.
Nope.
No. And
so,
next, I was gonna say next podcast episode, we are we going to talk about our common hobby of Dungeons and Dragons, or no?
maybe I don't know. We're gonna talk about it for sure.
Sometime,
Yeah.
because I just think with John's experience and our experience, oh man, we could go off
Oh, big time.
big time.
That might be a longer episode.
That's what
It
I'm
will
thinking.
be definitely a longer episode.
This one's a little bit longer, but I think that one will be.
I think we can
very
push.
lengthy.
I would say, well, let's wait on D&D because
Okay.
that one's going to take probably upwards of an hour
Okay.
to record, I think.
Yeah.
And then for next one, let's just say, what do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about our personal lives or what?
I don't know. We'll discuss it.
How open are you guys
We'll
about it?
discuss it.
Well, this scuff the guff.
Yeah. But until we make that decision, that will end this episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Squire Time, and never forget,
Peasants.
you're a peasant.